Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. Welcome to the Board of Commissioners meeting for September 20th, 2023. We will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you. Thanks, appreciate it. All right, as we have made a little bit of a tradition, our second meeting of the month, we recognize employees who have reached different milestones in their employment here with the county. So we have several here today, or several we're recognizing today. 5 individuals are here, at least I think they are, and a couple who aren't. So for each person, as we announce your name, please come forward. If you want to say a few words, you're welcome to. You don't have to, but you're welcome to say a few words if you want. We have something for you as well. Come up and we'll do a picture, and we'll also just call out the names of those who are not here. So the first person we have from the Health Department, 20 years service of the county, is Jeanette Anderson. Jeanette here? We'll do one big. Oh, we're gonna do one big one. Maybe just. Thank you so much. We're gonna do just for now. Yeah, we're gonna do one big. All right, we're gonna do one. Our photographer is telling me just one big one's better. So I'm just gonna listen and do what I'm told. All right. From the Sheriff's Department, representing having a 20 years service, Andrew Davis. Okay, not here today, but from the Neshaminy Manor, 20 years, Bettina Exilis. So we thank her. Also 20 years from Department of Corrections, Trevor Galley. Not here today from the District Attorney's Office, 20 years, Richard Munger. From Department of Corrections, 20 years, Robin Sue Jones. And last, but certainly not least, from Neshaminy Manor, 40 years of service. Wow. Wow. Who is that? Wow. Emrys Stevens. Congratulations. So I think now we have everybody. We'll do a picture. It's Margie's fault.
It's my fault.
Okay, thank you so much. Congrats. What? Oh, sure, if you want to do that, yeah. Can we do You want to do just with her? Oh, okay. All right. See, Ms. Stevens put in 40 years, and she brings her, she brings her own, she has her own squad here with her. Yeah. Emrys. Can't resist getting in a picture, huh? Yeah, you should get in this one. You should get in this one. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So we're also recognizing, and we have Commissioner DiGirolamo will read a proclamation. This is Senior Center Month, so I'll turn it to Commissioner DiGirolamo.
Okay. Thank you. We have a proclamation to give out. Whereas older Americans are important members of society with wisdom that enriches our lives and experience that strengthens all our communities. According to the National Council on Aging, more than 11,000 senior centers serve more than 1 million older adults every day, fostering the creativity, energy, and vitality of older adults in neighborhoods across the country. Through the wide array of services, programs, and activity, Bucks County's 13 Senior Center empower older county residents to contribute to their own health and well-being and the health and well-being of their fellow residents. This year's Senior Center Month's theme is Discover Yours, which aims to encourage seniors to discover friendships, wellness, purpose, and creativity at their local senior centers. Whereas the 13 senior centers in Bucks County tap the knowledge, skills, and experience of older persons, affirming their dignity and independence and enabling their continued contributions to the communities. Now, therefore, do we, the Board of the Bucks County Commissioner, Chair Robert Harvey, Vice Chair Diane Ellis Marseglia, and myself, Gene DiGirolamo, hereby proclaim September 2023 as National Senior Center Month throughout the County of Bucks. In so doing, we commend the staff and volunteers who supports older residents in our county senior centers. We also encourage all Bucks County residents to recognize the essential role seniors play in enhancing the well-being of older people in our community and our county. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I want to give them a round of applause to everybody that's involved with our senior centers.
Yeah, certainly we know the value our senior centers give to the people of this county. Our area Agency on Aging supports them, and certainly during the pandemic, they really struggled to deliver the services they needed to deliver during a very difficult time, so we appreciate all they did. And we talked a little bit earlier about Ms. Stevens bringing sort of an entourage with her because of the work she's done. The next individual has also, I think, brought a little bit of an entourage with her. Okay, so it does say something about someone you can fill a room like this for a good reason, We've seen it filled for other reasons, but it's filled for a good reason today. So we are honoring our Director of Children and Youth, Marge McEwen, who is retiring, and we do have a proclamation that Commissioner Marseglia will read.
Thank you. And it's my honor to read this. I have been here 15 years. I have never seen this many people come for any reason to a meeting, so that really says something about Marge. I'm thinking back to my own career as a social worker. I guess I've been bothering you for decades now, different ways. I was thinking back to an Opportunity Council dinner a few years ago where someone came up to see Marge because she had been their caseworker, I guess, 20 years ago, and this person was talking about how she had changed their life. So when that kind of thing happens, that says everything. Marge, you are true social work, and we are going to miss the magic that you have brought to children and youth. So whereas for decades, Bucks County Children and Youth Director Marge McEwen has been a critical component in the administration of care and services to at-risk children and families in Bucks County. And whereas Ms. McEwen's work with the county began in 1989, I can't do this. I can't. I'm on when.
I know her deputy did fire you at some point. Did she fire you too? No? All right, so I will try to pick up here. Whereas Ms. McEwen's work with the county began in 1989, when, while still pursuing her master's degree in social work, she joined the Bucks County Children and Youth Social Service Agency as a caseworker. And before long, Marge was overseeing some of the agency's most trying cases as a supervisor in, and later the first manager of, the Intensive Services Division. And after serving 11 years as assistant director, Marge moved in 2019 into the agency's top role. As director, she aimed to build an agency that better met the needs of the people it served through the development of collaborative programs and with the creation of the much-needed Visit House in Lower Bucks, which opened its doors in late 2021. And whereas Marge's commitment to the people she serves has extended far beyond the halls of county government, as seen in her volunteer, educational, and advocacy work for families considering adoption and experiencing fertility. And whereas Ms. McEwen's career with the County of Bucks will come to a close October 6th, when she retires after 34 years of service to Bucks County Children and Youth. Now, therefore, do we, the Board of Commissioners of Bucks County, hereby proclaim October 6, 2023 as Marge McEwen Day throughout the County of Bucks. In so doing, we thank and commend Ms. McEwen for her dedicated service to the children and families of Bucks County. While her wisdom, leadership, and biting wit will be sorely missed, we know the positive impacts of her work will persist for generations among the countless families she has served tirelessly and selflessly throughout her career. We wish Marge many happy, healthy, and relaxing years in retirement. So.
I guess this means I have to say something. I had thought about it. I don't usually say too much, except when I'm in my office. I wish I were younger. I wish I got the director position when I was younger so I could stay longer. But family stuff intervenes. I can't help it. My husband's older, My kids having kids. I'm hoping to stay around and still be annoying a little bit. I could go on forever, but I usually don't do this. And it makes me go back to when I was 16. I started as a camp thing at my church and going into the local housing project and finding little kids and to come to camp. And I started loving social work then, and I wanted to do it, but I didn't get back to it till later. And I've loved everything. I love this county. I love what you people do. The public may not know, but these commissioners have a heart. They have a huge heart for people. all of them, and including Margie. I've never met so many good people in one place. The staff are incredible. People don't know that, and I wish that I had been able to make more of an impact on the community insofar as what this staff does and what they carry with them at all times. But this is incredible, and I know you want me to stop now, so thank you. Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, everybody. If you're in children and youth, or come up.
Well, you want to have her stand here with us? Should she come up here with us?
Can I hide? Yeah, come on up here.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Come on. You can stay in the middle. No, this way. This way. This way. This way. Up here.
There's stairs.
Put her in the middle.
Yeah. Now we need somebody up on a chair.
Come on, you're standing in the middle.
Hey, how are you? Holy moly. You got a big department. Nobody has, you know, we've never had this many. You are so nice. I have tried. Oh, you have. That's what made me cry, thinking how hard you've tried and what you've done.
Linda. Get Charlotte. I got it. Thanks, Tom. Where's mine?
Well,
Okay. Well, so I think it's a true testament to the work and the respect that her staff has for her. Ms. McCune had so many people here from Children and Youth, which is one of our biggest agencies here. So I apologize, I sort of skipped a step here. We do have somebody, we had Senior Center Month proclamation read. We do have Wanda from AAA, who is here. Oh, hi, I'm sorry, to talk a little bit about senior centers. Apologize.
Good morning.
Can you just, I'm sorry, can you just pull that microphone up?
Is that better?
Yep, thanks.
Good morning. I'd like to thank the commissioners for recognizing the senior centers in Bucks County. They're a critical part of our efforts to support the older adults in Bucks County. The purpose of a senior community center is to facilitate the social, emotional, intellectual, and physical well-being of older people in a community-based setting. In Bucks County, we have 13 nonprofit senior centers that we, the Area Agency on Aging, contract with to provide the services. The centers fulfill their purpose by providing nutrition, exercise, personal development, education, and socialization to the older adults in their community. The senior centers have provided 256,292 activities for individuals last year. The activities were fun. They do trips, they have crafts, they teach and produce wonderful, beautiful art, and there's always a game going on. The activities were educational, how to protect themselves from fraud and scams. Computer skills are taught, which is a challenge sometimes for older adults. Well, it's a challenge for me sometimes. They held expos that highlight the numerous county resources. The activities included health and wellness programs. They have nutrition classes. They provide nutritious meals daily. And for those people who can't get out of their house, they do home deliveries of meals. They have workshops that have physical strengthening and balance as the goal for older adults, such as healthy steps and Tai Chi. And they have programs to help them manage chronic disease. Our senior centers offer a number of special programs, such as Senior Connect, which was developed to reduce isolation for seniors. It's through iPads and iPhones, internet connection, and teaching them how to use those tools. The senior centers have offered a cool respite when our temperatures have rose to dangerous levels. They host special celebrations for holidays. They recognize their volunteers and staff and members in unique and wonderful ways, and they have special events to honor their veterans. It's impossible to mention all the activities and support that our senior centers provide to seniors in the community, but we know they are invaluable to both the older residents of Bucks County and our Area Agency on Aging. We thank them for all they do, and we thank you, the commissioners, again for recognizing them.
Okay. Thank you so much. Wanda, you want to come? Can we have a proclamation from people? No. Oh, sorry. Oh, that's right. That's right. We can do this. Yeah, we'll do it next. Congratulations. Okay. Thank you. And I just have a PowerPoint that's going through all the different senior centers we have here in Bucks County. So. Sound. So, thank you again for the presentation. Yep. Okay, we'll move on with our agenda public comment. This is agenda items. A reminder to speakers to keep your Comments focused on a specific or a couple specific agenda items you have questions about? First speaker is Ed Mackhouse.
Hello, I'm Ed Mackhouse from Buckingham. I'd like to speak on the agenda item related to the mental health. Approved contract to provide mental health for intellectually disabled services. I've had experience with this. I taught for 10 years in the 70s in Brooklyn. I taught some special guidance children as well as underprivileged, and mental and physical health go together. If a child doesn't have food and stuff, family problems, that leads to stuff. But as a teacher has to have more responsibility than the children, and then the teacher has to be responsible to the head of the school, principal, and the community. So the greater your power, the more responsible you should be. So we should set an example to stand up against violence and hatred and all do our part. Recently, last Tuesday, there was an incident at the Central Bucks School District where an adult person who should know better, who was a campaign manager for Democrats running for the Central Bucks School District, took up a metal chair and threatened to kill somebody because the person criticized his wife and tried to present evidence from her emails that she violated the law. If someone criticizes me, it's my responsibility as an adult to accept the criticism and to deal with it. If it's a ridiculous criticism, I should laugh. That's ridiculous. But when someone responds angrily and tries to kill someone by hitting them with a metal chair, that is not the proper response. And dealing with mental health, when I've attended court, most of the people, the criminals there, admit that they have trouble with mental health. So as the first part of a group, part of the Democratic Party should condemn the actions of this Democrat, and like Hunter and Joe Biden, do not reflect the views of the majority of the Democrats. So the Democrats have a responsibility to keep their house in order. I like President Trump, but I'll criticize what he does wrong. And we have great Democrats like Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who should get Secret Service protection. But it seems like Hunter and Joe Biden don't want any opposition from anyone. And Joe Manchin, been a Democrat, but he thinks he can't get it. A person running for president should be willing to talk to and debate with people in his own party. We need to have a bipartisan system where we believe in nonviolence and resolving things. We should be able to vocally respond to criticism and not jump to exaggerate the thing, go into criminal mayhem. And we got to figure out when is the person safe to come back to the community. Thank you very much.
Eddie Warren.
Morning, Commissioners. Andy Warren, criticized often, listened to seldom, but still here. Couple things for today's agenda. Item number 4 under Commissioners, 4A. I understand the signing of the approving of the bonds by the Commissioners, but could someone say exactly how much bonds are and for what purpose? Are we building apartments, stores, car dealers, gas stations? What will that be? And item number 17C. Approved contract to provide counseling, college reimbursement, data tracking, and other support to college students. And we're doing this with a company in Minnesota, or Michigan, I mean. My question is, what happens for $1.2 million with this counseling? What exactly is that all about? And I noticed that this, again, is one of that you've heard me speak to before. Funding ends on June 30th, 2024. Can I correctly assume that this is ARP money and the millions and millions of dollars that have been spent by this board over the last 3 years? I noticed in some time of the year campaign literature, we're talking about saving tax dollars. That's a good thing. I like that, commend you for it. What we do need to know as a taxpayer, however, if it is ARP money, if it is federal money that's going to end in 8 or 9 months, some of these millions and millions and millions and dollars of programs will continue. Where does that funding come from? Are we talking about future taxpayers? What commitment does Bucks County government have to continue these programs? Or are we going to end up cutting the personnel, the programs, the vehicles that were paid already? And at the end, assuming if there's enough time, I would like to come back and talk about the debate or lack of debate that I've heard about, and hope that, again, as candidates now, you support it. I'll be back.
Thank you. Yeah, hi. Okay, Robert McLean?
Good morning, Robert McLean, Milford Township. I'm looking at item 8F, the demolition of the former nursing home. I'd like to know where that is and what will that site be used for. The second thing is, this has to do with corrections, and I'm sure all of us are painfully aware of what happened down in Chester County with the estate of Cavalcante and all the resources that were used to try to capture this man. So I would like to know, and unfortunately, unless there's an assistant corrections person here, I don't see him here, but how secure is the Bucks County Prison? And how long do you house inmates that are bound for the state correctional institutions in your county prison? And are there any illegal aliens in your county prison? Now, I mentioned last time, and I didn't get such a good response, I don't believe. I may have misinterpreted that, but I had mentioned to you about Agenda 2030, which I also talked over with the head of the Planning Commission here, and he said that there was some involvement with Penn State on an ICLEI project that is associated with Agenda 2030. Monday and Tuesday, the United Nations held a Sustainable Development Goals Summit in New York City for Agenda 2030. Agenda 2030 is 17 interlinked Sustainable Development Goals that is a blueprint to achieve a better and more sustainable future for all. Now, that was birthed in 2015. It's looking for 2030 to be implemented, and this is the halfway point, so that's why they held that particular meeting. If you doubt what I'm saying, please, by all means, go on the UN website. You'll see that it's there. And in order to finance this, they get their money from all participating G20 nations, the United States being the biggest contributor to the United Nations. And they also mobilize it through the Sustainable Development Goals through ESG investments, environmental, social, and government investments, companies like BlackRock, State Street, Vanguard, They're all complicit in this, and this is how they're looking to develop that. Now, these goals are, not enough time. Thank you. I'll stop right there. Thank you.
Just a reminder, please try to ask speakers to confine themselves to actual agenda items. We've had a couple speakers kind of drifting off into political statements. This is about agenda items. It's the purpose for allowing people to speak on agenda items is so they can ask some questions. We've had a couple, which we'll address as we always do. Beth Curcio.
B2, what is it, what is this used for? The DMT Solution Global Corporation? What is that about and what is that used for? Also, I see in B, where it says approved contract to provide the parents as teacher program. Could you explain that? And did the parents that were forced to teach their children at home during COVID, did they get a little bit of kickback for that? All right. You know, I see these agendas, and Mr. Harvey, you want to stay us to stay on, but it's like rinse and repeat with millions of dollars going for mental illness drugs, which our country creates as they bring in the drugs with the open border. So we go to 9A, where it has approved submission for the 2023 Consolidated Annual Performance Evaluation Report, CAPER of 2022. What is this? Human Service, Worthwhile Wear, Silverdale, PA. What is this? Approved contract to provide long-term aftercare housing and employment service for women. I don't know, I grew up and we kind of all took care of each other instead of the government, which is now 43%. Okay, then we have something on the very back, which I don't know what that is either. But if you go under C for other civics, it's VITA. What is VITA? $12,000. Thank you.
Okay. Jamie Walker.
I'm going to talk to 16A. I think it's great the county helped place a school resource officer at Central Bucks West after the regional police voted against it. I wanted to thank Commissioner DiGirolamo, Pam Van Blunk, and the sheriff, as well as the other two commissioners, for voting for this. It is unfortunate, though, Bob Harvey had to speak poorly about Central Bucks at the end of the meeting after they voted for it. He seems to turn everything into a political campaign for himself. Recently, he's been visiting school board meetings, making political campaigns. So after Bob spoke at the Penridge meeting, a large man charged an 83-year-old man, and another woman gave the middle finger to the audience. Chaos seems to follow you. Then, more recently, at the Central Bucks meeting, where you don't live there and made a public comment, a prominent Democrat committee man that you came with, I saw you in line with him, picked up a chair to throw it at another public speaker, and another woman also cursed at us. Now, as the highest ranking politicians here, will you condemn what they did? And I think parents are tired of you guys using our kids for your politics. Since August 2021. Thank you.
All right. So focus on the issues that are actual agenda questions. In terms of the, let's see, for Mr. Warren asked about the bonds. I do believe we have somebody here from Wood Services who can speak about that. Mr. Grant? Okay, if you don't mind, just give us an old bite idea of what exactly the bond is, what we're approving. Might want to lift that microphone up a little bit higher. You're a little bit taller.
Put it up
Yeah.
as high as I can here. I'm Thomas Grant. I'm the CFO for Wood Services based in
Sorry.
Let me get a little closer here. I'm Thomas Grant. I'm the CFO for Wood Services. The question about the bond is not money that's actually being borrowed by Bucks County. This is money borrowed by Wood Services. We are a not-for-profit organization taking care of some of Pennsylvania's most vulnerable adults and children with behavioral challenges and developmental disabilities. And as a not-for-profit organization, we borrow money through what's called a public conduit issuer. And in this case, it's the Langhorne Manor Authority that's our issuer that allows us to borrow at a tax-exempt rate as a not-for-profit organization. And so what happened in 2022 when the rates were low, just like many of us with houses, we refied. And we were paying about 5% before, and we got our rate down to about 2.5%. There was part of our bond outstanding that couldn't be called at that time and refinanced, and so it had to be defeased, meaning that we had to put it in a special account with money against it. And now the reason why this is in front of the county is because our property goes through three different towns, Langhorne Manor, Langhorne Manor Borough, as well as Middletown Township. And because of that, it comes under the county's authority to approve. And so this is simply an approval of moving our borrowing from a taxable rate, which it was for the last 2 years on the non-callable portion for this small amount, to non-taxable.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions from board members? No, appreciate that. Thank you, Mr. Grant. A question about 17C, which is the grants through EDSI. This is a re-engagement program. This is essentially designed, addressing Mr. Warren's question about 17C. This is essentially designed to get people who may have been in college at one point, had to drop out for whatever reason, to get them re-engaged, to help them train, to get them through the paperwork process. Not everybody is as familiar with going through, getting financial aid, applying, scheduling, things of that nature, especially people who are first-generation students. It's also designed to track them over time, to make sure they get into high-demand jobs, help them get the right training, make sure they're choosing the right classes, helping essentially people go transition through college and out into the workforce. Question about, excuse me, I'm sorry, it's also funded by the Commonwealth, not by ARPA. It's funded by the state. Yeah. 8F, demolition of the old Neshaminy Manor. The old Neshaminy Manor is not too far from the Alms House building and the health department. It is dilapidated is probably a nice word for the building. It's currently, I think, a refuge for quite a few raccoons and bats, but not for, and unfortunately, some people who get in there and sort of do some mischief. So the county's been looking to demolish it for a while. We have asked for a request for innovations, which essentially is asking developers to put together a plan for how they think they might be able to use that property. It is the county's property, so we're not against entering into an agreement where if it's going to be used productively, we'll be willing to sell it off, but it has to be demolished first. No one's going to buy a property with that building on it. So in terms of the prison questions, obviously Mr. Kratz, the Director of Corrections, is not here. In terms of housing state prisoners, it varies basically with a variety of issues. It's not really our control. Certainly during the pandemic, it was very tough to get prisoners transferred from our prison to the state prison. I think it's working much better now than it was at the time. In terms of the citizenship status, obviously if someone comes in, if they're arrested, they come in, and we have no control over whether they're citizens or not citizens. So I imagine there have been. So, the simple answer to the question. Question about number 2, which is Board of Elections item. The DMT Solution Global Corporation doing business as Blue Crest out of Danbury, Connecticut. Blue Crest is the company that makes and maintains what we've affectionately called the Dragon here in our building. It is essentially the giant mail sorter that sorts all of the mail-in and absentee ballots as they come back, sorts them in the precincts and townships, and then from there they get eventually opened. It also scans them and works together with the state shore system to identify any ballots that come in that are, improper in some way, or for example, if someone has passed away, that machine is connected to the Board of Health, the State Board of Health, and so they can flag if a ballot has come back from somebody who has deceased, who has passed away. This is basically for maintenance during that time period. We cannot have that machine break down during the election, and so this will cover for the next year. The election, obviously in November, the special election that'll happen in probably January or February for the 140th state rep seat, and then the primary election in the spring, and any other elections that happen to pop up in those time period. Parents as Teachers program, can I turn to Ms. Neff to talk a little bit about the Parents as Teachers program? And just explain what that is.
Thanks, Commissioner. So one of the goals in our Children and Youth Department is when we do get referrals for children and families, one of the goals is to help keep families together. And so one of the evidence-based strategies we utilize is Parents as Teachers, and there's other models as well, but it's to help parents that may need help redirecting their children, providing additional behavioral supports. And so we have trainers who come in with our nonprofit providers that provide that model, and again, with the goal of keeping families together.
Okay, thank you. Question about 9A, approved submission of the 2023 Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report, the CAPER. This is something required by Housing and Urban Development, the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. Ms. McKevich, you want to comment a little bit on that?
Right. It is a requirement from HUD, and it reports on all of the programs that we have, our home program, our ESG program, and our CDBG program, and it combines all of those projects into one report, reports on the financials.
Okay, just clarification, the ESG referred to here is Emergency Solutions Grant, which essentially is money that can be used in emergencies for housing situations, not the boogeyman ESG that Fox News talks about. 10A, Worthwhile Wear is a program for women who are victims of violence. Okay. VITA is Volunteers in Teaching Alternatives. It is a nonprofit that has been around for decades and decades and decades that works with adults, essentially teaching them to learn how to read, people who are illiterate. That was it in terms of agenda items. So, okay. Commissioner Sheikley had to step out just for a minute for a call. Let's see if, here, coming back. So we'll look at approval of the minutes from September 6th. Any comments or questions about the minutes? No? No? Okay. All right. Is there a motion? Well, we'll incorporate the minutes into the consent agenda. Consent agenda is items 1 through 17D. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Move on to the regular agenda. We have a budget adjustment. There he is, Mr. Bosco. Not in your usual spot. You threw me off.
All right, thank you, Commissioner. Budget adjustment number 12 refers to item number 8E that you just approved on the consent agenda. The Sheriff's Office had an opportunity to pick up 4 new vehicles for this year that were unbudgeted. This budget adjustment will allow the purchase and cover those costs.
Okay. Any comments or questions? No. Is there a motion to approve budget adjustment number 12?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, personnel actions, the commissioners list. Are there any comments or corrections for the commissioners list? If not, is there a motion to approve the commissioners list of the personnel actions?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Other civics. At our previous meeting, first meeting in September, we had Alpha Bravo Canine, a nonprofit that works with training service dogs. So there's a motion here to approve a $1,000 contribution to them, a $1,200 contribution to the Bucks County 4-H, $1,000 to Strolling for Service Dogs, and $12,000 to VITA. Is there a motion to approve those contributions?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Chief Operating Officer, Ms. McKevitt.
Thank you, Commissioner. A couple things. I wanted to first thank our Human Services staff and our General Services staff for the Lovely to See Answer event that was held here on Sunday. They did a fabulous job. It was well attended, and they worked very hard to make sure that it went off without a hitch, and it did. So thank you very much for that. And then also I want to make mention that there is a Veterans Benefits Expo on Friday, October 6th from 12:30 to 4, and that's at Parks Casino, the East Racetrack Building in Bensalem. It's free admissions for our veterans to learn about benefits and other organizations that can provide services. And then also our Household Hazardous Waste Program is going to be held on October 28th, 8:30 to 2 at Strayer Middle School in Quakertown. And that is always a well-attended event. I just want to give people a heads up that it's coming. And that's our last one for this year. And that's all I have to report.
Okay, thank you. Solicitor's report. Ms. Fitzpatrick.
Thank you, Commissioner. I have just one item to report. The board held its standing executive session yesterday, September 19th, with staff and legal counsel present to discuss personnel matters, to receive confidential legal advice about both pending and prospective litigation, and to discuss labor union negotiations. That completes my report.
Okay, thank you. All right, move to public comments now. Stephen Sinclair.
Good morning. Stephen Sinclair, Percy resident and a 43-year Bucks County resident, and I'm here representing the Penridge GOP Republican Club. I joined the Penridge GOP Club early in 2022, basically because there was an effort there for an election integrity focus. And we have been developing our knowledge of the election process in Bucks, and we know of other groups, like-minded groups that are doing the same thing. And then we recently combined our efforts with some of these groups and now have a county-wide network of people from Bensalem to Quakertown, Palisades area, working in election integrity matters, and some of those are here this morning. Some of the key areas we want to focus on or assist in are recruiting poll workers and watchers. We have people serving in these roles, as well as in the judge of elections role, and we want to help new people know how to do this same thing. So we have a focus in that area. We also want to, of course, develop our knowledge of current election laws. We also feel like we need to have a better understanding of the election board responsibilities as described on the county website, especially a couple of these following items, which are under the purview of the Board of Elections. How voting technology is selected, obtained, operated, and maintained and secured. Additionally, how voter registration data is kept current and secured. And we also would like to be able to assist the Board of Elections where possible. And just thinking like out loud at the moment, perhaps one of those areas could be to shadow some of.
Okay, thank you. Art Larson.
Good day to all. My issue is education. At a prior meeting, you held a event here celebrating the efforts of the Aspen Institute with the president of the Bucks County Community College. If you read the report on Wikipedia about James Reagan, he identified 3 major organized crime bosses of the Chicago outfit. One was Henry Crown, the founder of the Aspen Institute. The other was Walter Annenberg, who was the founder of No Child Left Behind, runs the he runs the Brown University Institute there. And he's the one over there at the University of Penn controlling all that influence there, that he's a major organized crime boss. He died, but his foundation is still there. We also see that with the University of Penn, with Leah Thomas there, pushing that agenda there. The other part of the organized crime is the Anti-Defamation League. We see it pushing a smut in our schools. If you have integrity, you'll start doing something about this. Done.
Okay. Ed Metcalf.
I'm Ed Mackhouse, agenda item.
Bless you.
Buckingham Township. I'm Jewish. I don't agree with the ADL, Anti-Defamation League. I think they're a political organization, and they should not be associated with the Jewish people. I think Zionist Organization of America has been criticized, which is a leading Jewish organization from Brandeis. And so, as a Jew, I feel we have some outstanding Jews, like Einstein. Others are not so good. So you got to admit that none of us are perfect. On the main issues about the election, I think we need it fair for people. The media is fair. It's not fair. And people deserve to see a comparison between the Democrats and Republicans. So the Democrats should have primaries, election just like the Republicans are having these things. Biden should be able to compete with other Democrats and also with Republicans and have a debate with a Republican like Trump. It's not illegal, it shouldn't be illegal to question election integrity, and President Trump didn't advocate any violence, and we should, and the January 6 people, 1 million people came to protest elections. So I think that the media shouldn't, there's truckloads of ballots came in from New York, and 2,000 mules proved that there was a lot of stealing, enough to affect the election in Montgomery County and Philadelphia. And I don't think Philadelphia's improved, maybe a little bit in Montgomery County. So on the issues of trillions of dollars of deficit due to the climate change hoax and the vaccine industry closing down the schools, retarding education by 2 years. So I think we should all have responsibilities, Democrats and Republicans, to be bipartisan for basic integrity thing. Thank you.
Andy Warren.
90% of the time when I speak to you, I speak as a citizen of Bucks County. I want to address the three of you, 4 plus Pam, now as an equal, a fraternity member, or a person who had honored to have a very unique position of county commissioner. I don't know positively, but if the debate, which was spoken about 2 or 3 weeks ago, is not to come off, I would implore you, as one who has been there, one who loves this country, a voter, the 4 of you ought to be demanding a debate. If we walk down the street in any township, 85% of the people we pass wouldn't know us from Adam. More than that, wouldn't know what we stand for. As candidates, please get among yourselves, bipartisan, and say, we will meet on this street corner in this day, and we'll talk about issues. People come here and beg for night sessions, for opportunity to speak to you. I know there's conflict, but we as voters must hear from our elected officials, and you all ought to be so proud as candidates that you want to stand up and scream from the rooftop what you believe, not hide it, and be there to answer questions. Please arrange, for the sake of the people of Bucks County, the 4 of you to meet publicly and discuss what you believe.
Bill Everett. Bill Everett, sorry.
Good morning, I'm Bill Everett, a Middletown Township 38-year resident. My topic is voter integrity. I'm going to cite 10 statements that really comprise the popular election integrity measures across the United States for your consideration going forward with elections. Number one is Americans want photo ID to be required for elections. Number two, non-citizens and children under the age of 18 may not vote. Number three, the public wants transparency in election results, not the runaround. Number four, a large portion of Americans believe that mail-in ballot harvesting should be illegal. Number five, a large portion of Americans believe that mail-in ballots are the easiest pathway for fraud. Mailboxes are not monitored. Number six, Americans support returning mail-in ballots to their respective precincts for tabulation and/or hand count. Number seven, Americans support responsible but not unlimited mail-in voting policies limited to absentee and requested mail-in ballots. And number eight, Americans support limited mail-in voting in favor of early in-person voting. And number nine, Americans embrace 2 weeks or less of early in-person voting. And number 10, Americans reject foreign influence in election administration. Foreign nationals should not be influencing our elections by pouring money into driving an agenda. And I'll close with just an opinion. I disagree with the automatic registration that just got by Shapiro. They should have left it alone to leave people to opt in and not so that's my opinion of that. Thank you for your time.
Okay. Robert McLean.
Gospel of Luke, chapter 12, Christ speaking about hypocrisy. Beware of the leaven of the Pharisees, which is hypocrisy, for there is nothing covered that shall not be revealed, neither hid that shall not be known. Therefore, whatsoever ye have spoken in darkness shall be heard in the light, and that which ye have spoken in the ear in closets shall be proclaimed upon the housetops. And I say unto you, my friends, be not afraid of them that kill the body, and after that have no more that they can do. But I will forewarn you when whom you shall fear. Fear him which after he hath killed has the power to cast into hell. Yea, I say unto you, fear him. Are not 5 sparrows sold for 2 farthings, and not one of them is forgotten before God? But even the very hairs of your head are all numbered. Fear not, therefore, ye are of more value than many sparrows. Also I say unto you, whosoever shall confess me before men, him shall the Son of Man also confess before the angels of God. But he that denieth me before men shall be denied before the angels of God. And whosoever shall speak a word against the Son of Man, it shall be forgiven. But unto him that blasphemeth against the Holy Ghost, it shall not be forgiven. And when they bring you unto the synagogues and unto magistrates and powers, take ye no thought of how or what thing ye shall answer or what ye shall say, for the Holy Ghost shall teach you in that same hour what you ought to say. Thank you.
Beth Curcio.
The last 3 years have revealed much evil and tyranny from our federal, state, and local level governments, whom have been selected by fraudulent elections and Marxist ideology. If you still are drinking the Kool-Aid for the greater good, and then you're on the personal path of destruction. They already prepared for the next pandemic called Marburg. It is to control you by fear and TV propaganda. Throughout history, they use the same playbook over and over again. They are power-hungry and demonic, and they use selected officials to put their playbook into action. They will convince you through DEI and CR that it's all about fairness and love. First, they destroy the family. Then they create such inflation that you can't keep up with it. Mr. Harvey, and it's a tax. Mr. Harvey will tell you it was caused by COVID. They will blackmail you that it's your duty to risk your life and health for a created virus, which was 99% recoverable rate. Mr. Harvey will make sure he mentions you get a flu shot and a new booster. These are facts, folks. Start digging deeper. Rumble, Medical Rebel, Dr. Lee Merritt. This has been planned for years. We are now tracked and traced. At our airports, we are frisked and made to stand in lines for hours, yet criminals are being urged to come to our country and bring all the drugs they want, and they aren't patted down or scanned. The pedophiles are in charge. America is now the #1 child trafficking country. I guess that's part of Build Back Better. PA is sanctuary state. Philadelphia and Bucks County are all sanctuary. Our government has been weaponized against us. Here in Bucks County, our tax dollars are being used against moms who filed legal rights to know and won. Wonder why that amount of money is never in the agenda. I asked, it goes unanswered. 4 minutes a month for citizens to give up work, family, gas money, etc., to speak out. Pro-lifers being thrown in prison, death threats against great patriots. You won't hear this on mainstream media. Created wars to cover up evil millions of innocent people killed. I urge citizens
Thank you.
to get involved and elect a man to get to the polls and get Mr. Harvey out ASAP.
Joe Frederick. Joe Frederick.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm not here to attack anyone. I think you guys do a good job. I want to thank the employees that were recognized today. All the employees in this county do a great job. They keep this place and this county humming, and I think that's a testament to the bipartisanship of our commissioners. The other thing I'd like to bring up is to thank you. I just recently saw the crime statistics for Bucks County. They are some of the lowest we've seen in years. The murder rate is down, the crime rate is down, and I think that's a testament, which was just proven by the endorsement of the FOP for our commissioners, Diane and Bob. And it just goes to show how much they've been working with the police and the co-responders. And they just, I know Bob, Commissioner Harvey had found additional $1 million for the Sheriff's Department. And I hope that the Sheriff's Department then goes out and hires the new people that he needs to fill in those over 8,000 warrants that are out there. So I just want to say thank you to the commissioners for the work they do. I know you get a lot of heat, and you have it get attacked for, Lord knows, God Almighty, where they come up with these things. But thank you again, all of you, and have a good day.
Thank you. Jamie Walker.
The Bucks County FOP endorsed Pam and Jean. Philadelphia endorsed you. Okay. Bob Harvey has been suing me for 495 days to protect his fellow Democrat commissioners' emails. I was awarded these emails May of 2020. What gives you the right to keep suing me? You are wasting taxpayers' money. You two commissioners are setting the precedent for the entire state of Pennsylvania that when you don't want to fulfill a right-to-know request that anyone can put in, you can just sue constituents. And number two, you're asking a judge to make the entire state of Pennsylvania less transparent for every single resident. That is actually a bipartisan issue. The people of Bucks County should realize if Democrats continue to sue me with our tax money, any government agency can do it at any time to anyone that files a right-to-know request. It is un-American. The next step of the lawsuit is to go to Commonwealth Court in Harrisburg. So the taxpayers will now be paying for 3 attorneys to drive their cars, plus their expenses, to continue to hide emails. When does this end for you? Since Bob Harvey came to my school board meeting for a campaign speech, I think it's fair to ask what happens to his commissioner seat if he is indicted by a federal grand jury. If anyone wants to read more about this, Google Robert Harvey, supervisor, Falls Township, $80,000 political campaign donation. Stop suing parents.
Okay. All right, those are all the public comments. Move to commissioner comments. Commissioner DeGirolamo. Commissioner comment? Sorry.
No comments for today, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Marseglia.
I'm just going to wait a minute. Go ahead. You can call.
All right, thank you. A couple things just to touch on challenge made earlier, which I'll gladly accept. Yes, violence in any form, whether it's verbal violence, bullying tactics, lies, smears, personal attacks, are all out of place in this country. They've become more accepted, sadly, over the past several years because of, quite frankly, a lack of leadership at the federal level. People worry more about power than they do about their country. I think the three commissioners up here have demonstrated the opposite of that. And so, any violence of any type is not acceptable in any way, shape, or form. So, a couple comments about voter integrity. I, for one, actually applaud Governor Shapiro for the change in policy that he enacted to make it easier for people to register to vote, to make it easier for them to change their addresses when they have their driver's license changed. That is something that about half the states in this country already do. And so it does make it simpler, and it actually helps our voter registration office by allowing that change of registration to happen more immediately, instead of having people might change their driver's license, but then they don't change their voter registration. And so it takes a while, and you have a lag time. And so then, this actually is a better method. I, for one, think we should be making it easier for people to vote. Certainly the mail-in balloting process, which is used across the country and has been for a long time, including and predominantly, in fact, entirely red states like Utah, really is something that is safe. I do think that the one comment I think was made by Mr. Sinclair, I think is an excellent point. I've said this publicly and repeatedly, that for most people, including elected officials like us, who have been in politics for decades, elections are in many ways like an iceberg. We see only the top part. We see what happens when we go into the voting booth, or the polling place. We see what happens at that place. We don't see anything else. And so in that darkness, that absence of knowledge, absence of just, awareness of what's happening, that is where, rumors and misconceptions and misinformation can flourish. I remember in the 2020 election when we had this building filled with county employees the night of the election, going through ballots, processing them for hours and hours and hours and hours. One of the employees, and I have no idea what her political persuasion is, it was not a Board of Elections employee, it was another employee from the county who was working in the office that night, said, everybody should watch this process happen. Everybody should be here to see it, because they would absolutely understand in a second how unbelievably complex it is and safe, and how unbelievably difficult it would be for anybody to cheat at an election. And in order to, you have to see that to really understand it, and most people don't, and I get that. We understand that. It is why we allow representatives from both political parties to monitor the election process the entire time. Attorneys from both parties were there in November of 2020 and the spring and fall elections ever since then. In fact, before the head of the Bucks County GOP, became a fake elector, she actually signed a letter saying the election of 2020 was done well. So I think she had to backtrack a little bit for political reasons, but it's certainly something that we do a good job here, our staff does a good job here, and it's like this across the country. It has never been more secure, the voting system in this country, than it is right now. So And I will close by recognizing that Yom Kippur, the holiest day of the year for our Jewish friends and neighbors and residents, is approaching, a Day of Atonement. It's not really quite right to say Happy Yom Kippur, because this is a Day of Atonement, but we'll recognize the holiday and those that celebrate it, wish them, a blessed new year. So I will, go ahead.
Just 1 minute, I did want to just say one thing. There's an awful lot of negativity at times, but I wanted to just point out a couple positive things. Marge McCune was here earlier today after 34 years with this county. I have never seen so many people in this room for someone. And there are actually residents from our nursing home who came over because a 40-year employee was getting an award. And we had an amazing event on the courthouse lawn or the administration building lawn on Sunday where law enforcement came together with the community. So that just tells you one thing, all of those things. Love is the answer. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you.